Authors POV, the university library, was the only place that still felt untouched by chaos. Outside, people rushed across the campus, laughing, yelling, living their loud lives. Inside, the air was thick with silence and dust, and the soft rustle of turning pages. At one of the corner tables, completely hidden behind tall shelves, sat Y/N, same black hoodie she always wore when she wanted to disappear. Laptop open, notes scattered in a messy circle around her. But someone had already found her dot from the upper floor, leaning on the railing. Junkook watched her like he'd been doing for weeks. His black hair fell into his eyes, jaw clenched, hands tucked into his pockets, as if he needed to hold himself back. He hated libraries, hated quiet places, hated rules, yet here he was. Every day, same time, same girl /N. And today, he was done watching from far away Y/N POV. My eyes were burning from staring at the screen. The words on my notes were starting to blur together. I sighed, rubbing my temples. Y/N. Why did I even pick this major again? I muttered under my breath, trying to ignore the feeling that had been bothering me all week. That heavy weight, like a gaze, crawling on the back of my neck. I shook my head no. I was just paranoid. No one even noticed me in this university. I was the quiet library girl, the one who returned books on time and answered questions when asked, and never made trouble, exactly how I liked it. I bent my head down and started highlighting again, forcing myself to focus. Then, the chair across from me scraped slow. Deliberate, I froze. I didn't have the courage to look up immediately. My heart randomly decided to race like I'd run a marathon /N. She finally lifted her eyes, and her breath simply stopped. Junkook authors, POV. He dropped into the chair like he owned the table. No, like he owned the whole damn library. Black, oversized hoodie, chain dangling from his neck, silver hoop in his ear, tattoos peeking from his sleeves whenever he moved his hands. His presence alone shattered the silence. The notorious campus troublemaker, the guy who skipped classes, argued with professors, and made girls blush just by looking at them. And now, he was sitting right across from the quiet nerd who had never even had a proper crush. J/K. You're in my spot. His tone was low, casual, but his gaze was intense, locked on her like a challenge. Y/N. Excuse me, A/N. She stuttered, eyeing the completely empty tables around them. J/K. This one. He tapped the wooden surface with his ringed fingers. Been sitting here every day, watching you steal it. Y/N POV watching. Me, my pulse jumped. Y/N. There are other tables, I whispered, trying not to sound rude. This was Junkook, the kind of guy people didn't like upsetting. He smirked, leaning forward. I could smell his cologne, warm, spicy, with something dark under it. J/K. I don't want other tables. His eyes dropped to my lips for a second. I want this one. And you? His gaze added silently. I swallowed. Y/N. You can sit here then. I began closing my notebook, but his hand shot out, fingers wrapping around my wrist, not hard, but firm enough to make me gasp J/K. Who said you should leave? A/N. His thumb slowly brushed over the inside of her wrist, feeling her racing pulse. The touch was light, almost careful, but it sparked like electricity. He leaned even closer, his voice dropping to a hush J/K. Relax, nerd. I'm not here to bite you. There was a dangerous pause J/K, whispering, unless you want me to. Y/NPOV. My face heated so fast, I thought I would explode. I yanked my hand back gently, tucking it under the table, so he wouldn't see how badly it was trembling. Y/N. W, what do you want, Junkook? My voice came out soft, breathy, and I hated how it sounded like I was already surrendering. He tilted his head, staring at me like he was trying to memorize every detail, the mole under my eye, the way I chewed my lower lip when nervous, the strands of hair that had slipped out of my bun J/K. To study. I blinked. Y/N. What? A/N. Junkook reached inside his bag and pulled out a thick textbook, the same subject she was struggling with J/K. You're top in this class. His tongue darted across his lip ring, eyes never leaving her face. Help me pass. I'll pay you. Y/N. I don't want money. J/K. Then what do you want? Y/NPOV. You, the traitorous thought flashed in my mind before I could stop it. I quickly looked away, flipping through my own notes so he wouldn't see my expression. Y/N. Fine. I'll help you. Just be quiet. It's a library. He chuckled under his breath. J/K. No promises. Author's POV minutes turned into an hour. Surprisingly, Junkook listened. Really listened. He frowned at formulas, asked questions, scribbled notes with a focus she'd never seen in class. Sometimes his knee would brush hers under the table, and he wouldn't move it away. Sometimes their hands would touch when they reached for the same highlighter, and he'd hold the contact just a second longer than necessary. Every tiny touch sent ripples through her, and he saw every single reaction. Y/NPOV. I tried to ignore how close he was leaning now, his shoulder almost brushing mine, his hair falling in front of his eyes as he read. He smelled so good, felt so warm, radiated that kind of energy that pulls you in even when you know you should stay away. He paused suddenly, fingers sliding under a paragraph. J/K. Explain this again. I leaned closer, our shoulders touching this time. I pointed at the line, whispering the explanation. And then I made a mistake. I looked up. He was already looking at me, not the book, not the page, just me. A/N. Their faces were inches apart. Her breath fanned over his lips. His eyes dropped slowly, lazily, to her mouth. Y/NPOV. It felt like the whole library disappeared. No shelves, no students, no silence, just the sound of my heart beating so hard I was sure he could hear it too. Y/N. Junkook. His fingers moved, slow as sin, sliding over my hand on the table. He turned my palm upward and traced lazy circles on a J/K whisper. You always look like you want to run away from me. Y/N. Maybe I do. He smiled, and something in it made my stomach flip J/K. Then why are you still here? Authors, Pav, the question hung between them like a secret. Her lips parted, but no words came out. Junkook watched her, eyes darkening. His thumb brushed the side of her index finger, feeling the shiver that shot through her body. He stood up suddenly, chair scraping backwards. For a second, she thought he was leaving, but he came to her side instead, sliding into the seat directly beside her too close/N, his thigh pressed against hers. His arm casually draped behind her chair, caging her in without fully touching Y/N. Pav. I inhaled sharply Y/N. Junkook, people, someone might. He leaned near my ear J/K, whispering, no one comes here this late. His lips brushed my ear as he spoke. Except us. I could feel his breath on my neck. It made my skin tingle. I swallowed, gripping my pen so tight my knuckles turned white. Y/N. We're supposed to be studying. J/K. I am studying. He tilted his head, lips dangerously close to my cheek. J/K. I'm studying you. A/N. He watched her eyes flutter shut for a moment. That was all the permission he needed. In one smooth, unhurried movement, Junkook's fingers lifted her chin, guiding her face toward his. His gaze flicked from her eyes to her lips and back. J/K. Tell me to stop. Silence. Her lips trembled. She didn't say it. So he didn't stop. Author's Pav. His lips met hers, not crashing, not rough, but slow, careful, like he was tasting something forbidden for the first time. Y/N's breath caught in her throat. Every muscle in her body locked for a second, then melted. His mouth moved gently against hers, coaxing her to respond. A/N. She did. Her fingers left the safety of the pen and reached for his hoodie instead, gripping the fabric near his chest. Junkook's heart hammered wildly beneath her palm. He angled his head, deepening the kiss just a little. His hand slid from her chin to the side of her neck, thumb stroking her jaw as if she were something fragile and precious. The world blurred. The quiet of the library turned into a cocoon around them. Y/N. Pav. I didn't even recognize myself. I was kissing Junkook, my bully, in high school stories, my university's rumor magnet. The boy who'd always seemed untouchable. His lips were warm, soft, yet demanding in a slow way that felt more dangerous than anything fast. He tasted faintly like mint gum, and something sweet he must have had earlier. My chest felt tight. My mind had gone blank. All that existed was his mouth, and the way it moved with mine. He pulled back barely an inch, breathing against my lips. J/K. Husky. You have no idea what you're doing to me. I blinked, dazed. Y/N. Why you kissed me first. His mouth quirked into a half smile. J/K. You didn't exactly push me away. He kissed me again, this time deeper. A/N. His hand slid to the small of her back, gently tugging her closer until their bodies brushed. The books, the laptop, the notes, all forgotten, her fingers crept up, curling around the back of his neck. She could feel his pulse racing under her touch, matching hers. He parted his lips slightly, guiding her how to move with him, slow and steady. Every tiny shift brought a new wave of heat, a new spark arcing between them. He pulled away only when he felt her breathing grow. Uneven J/K. If we keep going, I'm going to get us banned from the library. She let out a soft, breathless laugh, cheeks flushed Y/N-POV. I hid my face in my hands, out of pure embarrassment Y/N. That was. I didn't have the vocabulary for whatever just happened. He gently pulled my hands away from my face, lacing his fingers with mine on the table. His thumb moved over my knuckles in slow little strokes that made my heart ache J/K. That was real. His eyes softened in a way I hadn't seen before, and I've wanted it way longer than I should admit. Y/N. You what? He shrugged lightly J/K. I didn't start coming to the library for books. Y/N. My breath hitched Y/N. Then, why? He squeezed my hand J/K. You, author's POV. The confession hung in the air. Bigger than the kiss. Bigger than the stolen touches. This wasn't just a random, impulsive move. It wasn't a dare or a Junkook, the guy who pretended not to care about anything, had been quietly orbiting around one girl in the quietest place on campus. He watched her lips part, watched the surprise melt into something softer, something hopeful Y/N. You're serious, aren't you, J/K? Dead serious. He hesitated, then added, voice softer than she'd ever heard it J/K. I like that you're quiet, that you're focused, that you ignore everyone trying to get attention, including me, most of the time. She let out a tiny smile Y/N. That annoyed you, J/K. It drove me insane. He leaned closer, their foreheads touching again. And then, it made me want you more. Y/N-POV. No one had ever said anything like that to me. I wasn't the type guys noticed. I wasn't wild or loud or sexy. I was just me. But when Junkook looked at me right now, I felt like I was the only person in the entire building. Y/N. We're in the library, I whispered again. Weaker this time. He smiled against my lips J/K. You're obsessed with rules, aren't you, Y/N? Someone has to be, J/K. Fine, then here's a rule. He lifted our joined hands and kissed the back of mine. When we're here, he paused, eyes glinting, you're mine to kiss whenever I want. My heart skipped Y/N. That sounds like a terrible rule. J/K, you going to follow it? I bit my lip, unable to stop the smile now. Y/N. Maybe. He chuckled low in his throat, and I knew I'd just made the worst and best decision of my life. Authors. POV. Time slipped away. The evening deepened. Library lights dimmed. But they stayed. They didn't just kiss. They talked. He told her about failing his first year because he'd never taken anything seriously. She told him about staying up all night studying because she was terrified of disappointing her parents. He confessed that he'd seen her crying once, in this very corner, over a bad grade. And that was the first time something twisted in his chest over her. She admitted she judged him from rumors more than from who he actually was. By the time they packed their things, the library was almost empty. The silence between them was no longer awkward. It was warm at the exit. He pressed a hand against the glass door beside her head, caging her gently J/K. Same time tomorrow, Y/N. For studying, right? He smirked J/K. Sure, he bent, brushing his lips over hers in a slow, lingering kiss. And for this, her fingers clutched his hoodie again as he pulled away. Satisfied with how breathless she looked J/K. Text me when you get home, nerd. She rolled her eyes softly Y/N. Bossy, J/K. Only with you? Author's Pav. And just like that, the library, the quiet, forgotten, invisible place, became the center of their world, where stolen glances turned into stolen kisses, where whispered explanations turned into whispered confessions, where a troublemaker fell for the quiet nerd. And she let him, not in spite of who he was, but because he chose to be soft only for her.